Hi friends, my name is Missy if you're new to my channel, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you, I thought this would be a really cool idea. I had been doing my pregnancy videos by week in 1 month video, if that makes sense. So I did them for, I can't remember when I started, but I know I did like, I have a month 9, 8, 7, 6 month pregnant, and just kind of pregnant, and I was just kind of talking about each week, like what I went through, you know, the wonderful adventures of pregnancy. Instead of with my first son, it was before YouTube, and I did like a written journal. So instead of doing a journal, I decided to do vlogging, and you guys really seem to like it. So I thought, for me, one thing that I felt very unprepared for with my first pregnancy and still feel like it's not really a lot of info out there is postpartum. So I'm going to do, I don't know how long, I guess till nothing is exciting anymore, but I'm going to do a postpartum month 1 and probably 2, maybe 3, and each of those videos will be by week. So I'm counting this as babies born as week 0 and week 1 postpartum, which was actually yesterday. I just didn't feel up to it. So I am technically a week and a day postpartum right now. I'm feeling pretty good. My belly went down a lot. It's amazing how much your uterus contracts and gets smaller. So obviously, with that being said, every single woman is completely different. Every single woman's body is completely different. Our bodies are amazing and wonderful. I'm not trying to, pitch that I'm losing X amount of weight sooner or faster than anybody. I'm just giving you a reference of my personal journey. I am quasi attempting to eat healthy, but I am not. I am eating lots of snacks and horrible things, but I'm just enjoying my postpartum as much as I can. And what else did I want to share with you? Week 1, I am trying to do 2 weeks of bed rest. My husband is actually running some errands, so I am downstairs, but most of the time I am just upstairs in my bedroom. I have my bathroom, and baby is on the couch right there, and she sleeps in a bassinet in my room. The bassinet is actually right there. We brought it downstairs for the day. I'm feeling really good. The first couple days were really rough. I shared all that in my home birth story, which will be up on my channel as well. But to tell you everything that happened in week 1, I did take notes because it's crazy how much things move. So this week 1 video might be a smidge longer than the other ones. So let's see. So kind of just talking about the last 7 days. I don't think I'll do this every week, but just like I said, the first week, so much stuff is going on. So my daughter was born on a Sunday, and she was born around lunchtime. So everybody, we had a home birth, and the midwife, nurse practitioner, a nurse practitioner student, and my doula were all here till I think 3 o'clock. Everybody finally left. So once everybody left, I felt really exhausted. My contractions had started at technically 1 in the morning and then got pretty aggressive at 5, 6 in the morning. So 6 hours-ish of contractions and whatnot is pretty freaking exhausting. So for the rest of the day, I was really, really tired. I had heavy bleeding, and I just felt like I had run a marathon. My body felt heavy, like my legs, like I needed effort to move them. It was very just exhausted. It's physically exhausting, mentally exhausting, and then you also get like a high of everything. It's just so crazy. Your labor day is nuts. So for that day, I talked about postpartum, everything that you're wearing, and like the pads, the ice pack, the underwear and everything. I pretty much was just wearing my Depends diaper getup and a bra and a cardigan. That's what I wore for like the first couple days. No pants or anything. It's just easier to get access to changing your own diaper. So I was in that, and then trying to lay down on the bed was really hard because your lady parts are sore. I actually gave birth on all 4s. So after about a day, my butt muscles, for lack of a better term, were so insanely sore. So even just sitting on them hurt my rear end. So I ended up sleeping in the reclining chair. We brought the recliner into our bedroom. Like I said, that's like our little nest now. So the first night I slept in the recliner, and baby girl was sleeping right next to me in the bassinet. And like I said, I'm attempting to do bed rest for 2 weeks. I realize I'm downstairs right now, but for the most part, I'm just upstairs chilling. I have a really good book that I'll probably talk about maybe in the next video about everything that I'm trying to do postpartum different than my first, Or maybe I'll do a video comparing postpartum with baby number 1, baby number 2. Baby number 1 did not go well. I did not listen to directions from my midwife or anything. I felt really well and I was up and about, and then I got really bad postpartum mental health issues. So if you want to hear the comparison between the two, just let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a video on that. And then for that day and the next day or so, Matt had to help me to the bathroom and help me with my diaper and everything, because I had, again, I'll talk about that in my birth video in more detail, I had heavy blood loss. So for the next 24 hours after birth, was it 48 hours? 48 hours, I was really fatigued, lightheaded. I'd get dizzy very easily. I lost a little over a pint of blood. So yeah, that was that. I needed help doing anything. It was pretty much just like my husband had 2 infants essentially for the first 2 days. So day 1 was Monday. And I stopped using the ice packs with every single change. Every time you go to the bathroom, you have to change all your padding and diaperage and everything. And I stopped using the ice packs and just the Depends and perineal foam and aligners that I talked about. The ice packs are very nice, but they're very bulky, so trying to like sit on them is not comfortable in my opinion. I am breastfeeding, so on day 1, Monday, I started using breast pads because I just kind of forgot about them the first time. I use reusable ones, they're cotton, and I've been using nipple cream because my nipples started getting very sore because they were not being used for a little over a year, and then all of a sudden now they're getting used every 2 hours, so my nipples were getting sore. So I started putting the nipple cream on and the pads on and changing the pads with every single feeding. Don't reuse them, just because, oh, for meds, and my notes are kind of just like all over the place. For meds, what I was taking, again, consult with your practitioner, I'm just telling you what I was taking, was a stool softener 2 to 3 times a day, just to make that easier. So basically with every meal I was taking 1 stool softener. And then I started taking my prenatal vitamins again. Sunday, with everything going on, I kind of just forgot. So I started taking my prenatal vitamins, and I was taking ibuprofen and Tylenol as needed. And then I was using these drops because I did not remember experiencing this with Paul whatsoever, but every time I nursed Tilly, I was getting, oh my God, cramps that were pretty much like contractions. Some of them I had to close my eyes and breathe through in the very beginning. And there is this homeopathic drops that you put in your water. I can't remember what it's called. I'll put it right here. I think it was called like At Ease or something like that. It did help a lot. So I was putting that in my water like every single time I breastfed. That helped a lot. Sleeping in bed was challenging that first night, but I wanted to sleep in bed. So we basically just, I slept on my side. It was just very uncomfortable for my belly at that point. So we just wedged pillows on either side, and it was just as comfortable as it was gonna get, but at least I was out of the recliner and in my bed. So that was nice. So that was all day 1, Monday. Day 2, so this is Tuesday. I'm just gonna tell you everything. So Tuesday, day 2 is when I had my first bowel movement. It was scary because I knew I had to go to the bathroom, but I had been taking those stool softeners, so it really was not a big deal. And you know, you can't wipe, so I used my peri-bottle water bottle to rinse the area, and then I have baby wipes in my little kit that I think I forgot to mention when I did my postpartum essentials, but I did take a pack of baby wipes, and you're not wiping, you're just kind of blotting your bum ever so slightly. And for me, I do not put those in the toilet, so I was just putting them in the garbage, and that's how you deal with that. Not a big deal. So by Tuesday, day 2, my bleeding had dramatically slowed down, and I ditched the Depends because I wanted to wear clothes, and it's kind of a pain in the butt because the Depends have to come completely off, so you'd have to take like your pants off or shorts off every single time. So I decided to wear my underwear, my pre-pregnancy underwear, which is a little snug. How would I describe those? They are jockey, not super bikini, but briefs, I guess. They're a little snug, but they fit. So I was wearing that, and I just switched to the Always overnight pads, still using the perineal foam and the Frida Mom perineal liner. So again, day 2, I started to go to the bathroom, and I did not need Matt's help. I could do it by myself. I was able to wear a tank top, a nursing tank top this time. So it's, I have 2. One that you just kind of like fold over your breasts to expose them, and then I have one that snaps and it's kind of like a racer back. And I was wearing both of those as just something a little more coverage than just your average nursing bra. And then I was starting to walk around upstairs very, very briefly. I would get very exhausted, very winded. Like I was just walking to maybe Paul's room and back. And then I would have to lay down again, just, I think it's from that blood loss, just getting very fatigued, very tired, very easily. So I just didn't want to lay down too much. So I was trying to get up. My midwife recommended, having your feet off the side of the bed and wiggling your feet just to get movement in your legs. And then when I went to the bathroom, I did have some small blood clots, maybe about the size of a quarter, nothing too big, but that's totally normal. So day 3, we're on Wednesday. Bleeding had slowed down to just light spotting. I was still wearing the overnight pads in case it got heavy for randomly. And I was using the perineal foam and liners still. I had a second bowel movement on Wednesday, still intense cramping in the morning, and then towards the end of the day it started to get really mild. I was able to take a shower. I had normal appetite. My feet started to get swollen because I was nursing in the recliner, I think, so that's when I started to stick just to the bed. And I did put compression socks on that one day and keep my feet elevated as much as possible. And I also attempted to drink 24 ounces of water in between every 2 to 3 hour feedings with baby girl. So I was basically flooding my system with water, trying to make sure that I was staying as hydrated as possible. I was able to walk around a couple times. My breast became engorged later on in the afternoon towards evening, so I think that's when my milk came in. Nothing too exciting happened with that. No noticeable hormonal changes like I did with my first pregnancy. When my milk came in, I knew I was a hot mess. I was crying constantly, and I didn't have any of that this time, so and I'm taking that as a really good sign so far. And then I had a couple other small blood clots. Day 4, Thursday, bleeding came back some. I had a headache and I felt dizzy, lightheaded at some times, very tired. I had a normal appetite, and in the middle of the night, my left breast got engorged to the point where Tilly couldn't latch onto the nipple. So what I did was I got my pump, was actually already upstairs, and I just pumped a little bit, just enough to relieve the pressure, and that seemed to fix the problem. My left breast was sore, like post-workout sore for like 2 days. I think it was just because my breast was so big, and another thing I should say is I just got in the system with Tilly, and I talked to my doulas about it, and they said, it's fine if you want to do that. With Paul, I breastfed for each feeding. I breastfed on both sides. I don't know why I did that. I don't know if one of the doulas or midwives advised me to do that, but with Tilly, somehow I just got in the system of every 2 to 3 hours I'm feeding her, and I'm feeding her on one side. I've tried to offer her both sides, and she's like, no thanks. So at night, it's kind of like 3 hours, so it could be, 6 hours till I get to one side. So I am having issues with my breasts being kind of really sore in the morning, but that kind of just evens out as baby starts eating more and more. Then on day 4, my feet stopped swelling because, like I said, I was drinking a ton of water, coconut water. I do have some Gatorade. I try to stay away from Gatorade, but I like to use less chemically options like coconut water if I can, but I did buy Gatorade just in case because it does work really well for me for my swollen feet. So I've been having just like 1 Gatorade a day, some coconut water, lots of water, and then just elevating my feet. So my feet have, knock on wood, not really been swollen ever since. And as of Thursday, day 4, I stopped using nipple cream because my nipples were not really sore anymore. So then we still have, so now we're on day 5, 6, 7, and 8. I am some days not bleeding at all, and then some days I will have heavy spotting, not enough to like fill a pad by any means. I would call it heavy spotting still. So I'm still wearing pads, still using the perineal bottle to clean myself. I'm going to keep doing that until my 2-week appointment with the midwife, just to kind of clear everything. So I'm not wiping down there or anything. I am running out of pads, so I had to order some more from Amazon, but I know women that heavy bleed for a long period of time, so I'm considering myself lucky. I had a headache that would just not quit. So I don't know what that was. It was like right here. I don't know if it was a combination, very possible, of me being slightly dehydrated or just hormones or what have you. But I was taking some ibuprofen to help kick it. But it was like all day. Like in the middle of the night, I wake up to feed and I had this headache. So I had this headache for about 3 days. I did come downstairs. This is the second time I've been downstairs. We came downstairs 2 days ago. And it was just weird because I hadn't been downstairs in a week, and there were things like I had clothes left out that I was going to change Paul into the day I went into labor, and there was just like things like my belly band I had taken off and put off to the side, and it was still there. And it just, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's overwhelming, maybe slightly emotional. So I started getting like a little weepy and just telling Matt, like, I don't even know why I'm crying. Like, it doesn't make sense. But we were down here for a couple hours, and then we went upstairs because our couches are just not comfortable, and I just really wanted to lay down. So we were down here for a couple hours, went back upstairs. Then I was upstairs all day yesterday, and then today Matt had to run into town to do some errands, and it's so gorgeous here in Virginia. It's like mid to high 60s. I think it's 72 today. So I was like, I need some fresh air. So I wanted to come downstairs so that I could be on the deck. We had Paul on the deck. He was having a blast. He's sleeping right now. So I'm downstairs today. I'm trying to, like, you know, maybe like every other day we'll start going downstairs, something like that. My belly did go down a lot. I don't mind sharing weight numbers if that's something that you find interesting. I will just tell you right off the bat that I am 5'11", so my weight gain numbers may be a lot larger than, you know, someone 5 foot or something like that. Every woman's completely different. So I gained about 55 pounds with this pregnancy. And then, yeah, so about 55 pounds with this pregnancy total. And then from the last time I weighed myself was Monday. I gave birth that Sunday. And then the following day, so the next day after I gave birth, I weighed myself. I just weigh myself every Monday. I had lost already, I lost 14 pounds. Obviously, 9 of that was my baby and some fluid. And then from that Monday to this morning, another week had gone by, and I'd lost another 4 pounds. My uterus should be back down in my pelvis, I think, after 2 weeks. I think just the way my belly is, it's like halfway there. The cramping is pretty much stopped. I don't get the heavy cramping anymore. But I was able to put on, it's very snug, but my breastfeeding shirt is what I'm wearing. And I'm wearing my maternity pants because the skin around my belly button is hypersensitive. I don't like it at all. So I have my belly, or I have my pregnancy pants, and I have the belly band part pulled all the way up. That just makes me feel really comfortable. And I have a shorter version, like, I don't remember even what they're called. They're like capri pants that I wore in the spring and the summer. And I wear those to bed, and I pull it up over my belly, and it just makes me feel more comfortable. Anything else? I'm trying to think. I did have my first sandwich this week. I had 2. Went to Jersey Mike's. It's a fast food chain here in Virginia that has sandwiches, and I just was like, I need a big sub. So I got a sandwich, and it was amazing. I've had coffee. I'm breastfeeding, but I had caffeine coffee almost every day, which is nice because I was drinking decaf when I was pregnant. Yeah, things are going really well. Mental health wise, I am doing really well. I have skipped my therapy appointment last week after I gave birth, and then she asked if I wanted to meet up this week, and she said you can have it out if you want. So I just chose not to go because Matt's still home, and I just like to do my therapy in private. So I am, like I told Matt, I'm totally fine. So we're going to skip, and I will do therapy next week to see how things are going. We haven't had any visitors. That was part of the thing that I wanted to do. So it's just been Matt, Paul, myself, and little baby girl Tilly, just bonding, you know, crying, laughing, enjoying every single second, and it's been quite lovely, I'm not gonna lie. So very positive postpartum experience week 1 so far. We shall see if it keeps going that way. I hope it does, and I will share that with you. So I think that's everything with week 1. So let's go on to week 2. So we're at week 2 postpartum. It's like the worst day to be filming because it's so overcast, but I was like, let me just film. I was trying to film yesterday, which was my 2 weeks, but I just was not feeling well. So still 2 weeks out, I'm having like up and down days. I'm having this issue where I get this headache, like a tension headache, for 24 to 48 hours. And at first I thought maybe I was dehydrated. I've had it like 2 times, and I got it yesterday, and I definitely was not dehydrated. I was drinking like a champ, so I know that wasn't the cause. I actually went to the midwife yesterday, the birth center. Tilly got checked out. I got checked out. She said I'm doing great. And I mentioned the headaches to her, and she said they're probably hormonal. She took my blood pressure just in case. She told me just to make sure that I'm drinking, take ibuprofen. I did take ibuprofen with it, and it honestly didn't even make it go away. It just kind of like made it less intense. But what goes along with these headaches is I am like non-functioning, exhausted, tired. Like if I just sit, I was going like this and then like falling asleep. So, but anyway, that's what I've been kind of going through this week. This week I finished up my 2 weeks of bed rest, which I mentioned to both the midwife, the nurse practitioners, and my doula, and they were all like, do it, do it, do it, do it. With my first pregnancy, I was like up and about the next day, and it just did not fare well for me mentally. Physically, I was really good, but mentally, I had a really rough time. So this time I was like, nope, I'm babying myself as much as I'm going to baby my baby. So I did 2 weeks of bed rest. The first week was easy because I didn't feel very well. So I was pretty much in bed. This past week, it was a little touchy. I did go downstairs for the first time. We have a 2-level house, so bedrooms are upstairs, like a colonial, I think this is what this house is called. And when I went downstairs with the assistance of Matt, I just stayed downstairs for half a day, and then I wanted to go back upstairs, because I'll tell you in a second. So when I went downstairs, I think it had been 10 days since the last time I went downstairs, which was the day I was in labor. And there were things like I had brought down clothes for Paul that were laid out on the couch, and they were still in the same spot. My belly band I had taken off when I was having contractions and put on like the counter, one of our back counters, and that was still there. So it was like, I got emotional for a second. I got like choked up because it was like just this like snapshot of something that happened in time. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just hormones, I guess. I even told Matt, I was like, I'm kind of crying right now, but I swear I'm okay. So I had that little episode and that was fine. And then I was just sitting on the couch and I was just kind of like taking it all in. It was like overwhelming for me. And again, I can't really explain why. This is my house. I guess maybe the week I had just been used to my bedroom and bathroom, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really leave the master suite all that much. So I went down here, used the bathroom on the first floor, and on my way back I got insanely cold. I don't know if that was my blood pressure. I really wish we had like a blood pressure cuff so I could take my blood pressure. I don't. I told Matt we put like a lot of blankets on me, and then I just really wanted to go upstairs. So we had lunch. We all went back upstairs, and I just stayed upstairs the rest of the day. So that was my first adventure downstairs. I've since ventured downstairs like every other day, and I did go outside for about 30 minutes or so. I had baby wrapped me. That was the first time I wrapped her, and she did really well. She actually fell asleep, which is perfect. That was interesting this week. Physically, I'm still bleeding, like heavy spotting on and off. It's not like even remotely like a pattern to it. I have the headaches, which I said. I'm getting acne. I have acne on my chin. Tilda's waking up, so I'm going to run up there in a second. I'm getting acne, which I remember with Paul, and like lots of blackheads, which is gross. So I'm just going back to my usual facial routine. What else happened this week? I did go to the birth center, which I said. I met with my midwife. I am actually 2 weeks postpartum and a day. She felt my abdomen, and my uterus went back in my pelvis, so it's like fully contracted. And I can never remember the name of it, so I'll put it here. I had this with Paul, and I did a lot of core exercises myself to fix it, but my abs are still separated just a little bit more than the midwife would want, but she told me not to worry about it. At the 6-week appointment, she'll examine me again, and if it's still separated, she'll give me some core exercises, and she recommended a pelvic floor PT, which is actually what my sister-in-law does. And I meant to do that with Paul, but because of my mental health and the pandemic, I just didn't do it. So now I'm trying to find a pelvic floor PT somewhat close. We live in the boonies, so everything is like an hour away. So I'm trying to figure out how we're going to end up doing that. But other than that, things are doing really well. We still have had no visitors. I'm kind of just hiding out. Like I said, I'm really like doing self-care with this postpartum. And the old adage that I'd heard, somebody had told me this, that your second birth sometimes heals the wounds of the first, is really applying to me. So I did not take care of myself at all with my first pregnancy or first postpartum, but I am now. Yeah, I think that's it. I only lost like a half a pound this week. Not trying to lose weight. I'm just capturing it as like a data point that I thought I would share. As you can see with my stomach, I have tons of stretch marks. My skin is very, very sensitive, and it just dawned on me yesterday where it's sensitive. I had a scar from a skin surgery, oh gosh, 8 years ago, and it stretched a lot with my pregnancy. In my pregnancy updates, I talked about how it really hurt for a while, and I put lotion on it. It seemed to help. I think it's that scar that's actually bothering me. So I have been putting on almond oil after I shower on my stomach. I'm just going to continue doing that. So I think that's all that is. And my belly button is starting to kind of like go back in. That's, I don't know, the belly buttons in pregnancy just really freak me out. But mentally, so far, I've been really good. Still going to therapy. My milk came in and I didn't have any issues. I talked about that in the last clip. And this week would have been sometimes around 2 weeks. The baby blues hit, and so far I have not had that hit yet. So we shall see. Yeah, I think that's everything I have for 2 weeks. So on to the next week. So we are week 3 postpartum. I'm starting to feel a lot better. Last week was kind of really a transition for many different reasons. Matt went back to work, so I was kind of on my own with the kiddos, and just the way his work week worked out, he was gone from like 7 a.m. to like 5:30, so I was home with the kids for a long period of time, which the first couple days were just, trying to figure that out. The hardest part was in the morning because, everybody has to get up, they have to get fed, they have to have diaper changes. Mo had to be fed or taken out. Matt did do that. And then, I had to deal with myself as well with, my diaper situation. So that was a little bit of a struggle the first couple days. At one point, Paul was crying and Tilly was crying, and I was just like, breathe, breathe. So we got through it. And also my bed rest ended. So I was trying to stay down here till nap time, which for Paul is around 1. And then we'd go upstairs, and I pretty much just stay upstairs the rest of the afternoon with Tilly while Paul slept and just chillax. So we did that for a few days. I've also been down here and kind of lightly cleaning things. I'm not using a vacuum or anything, but the definition of clean to me versus my husband is very different. So I'm trying to like slowly get my house cleaned back up because nothing has been done in like 3 weeks essentially. So there's that. My bleeding has pretty much almost completely stopped. I'm just using a panty liner at this point. There's really nothing there, but every once in a while I'll spot. So I just keep wearing the panty liner. I don't wear any of the overnights at night anymore. I just wear the panty liners. That kind of transition slowed down from week 2 to week 3. We went to the midwife. It was really the 2-week appointment, but it was like 2 weeks and a couple days. And she checked, and my uterus is now fully back in the pelvis. She said it looked really great. My ab muscles are separated. I can never remember what this is called. I'll put it right here. I had it with Paul and did some exercises and it went away. I intended to go to a pelvic floor PT, but the pandemic happened, so I just opted not to. But this time around, I really would like to. We live in a very rural area, so we don't have a lot of like specialty doctors, kind of thing like that. So I'd have to go pretty far away. So I'm just trying to think of like logistics to that. I found a really good one, but she's like an hour and a half away. I have a little visitor. Someone woke up and was yelling. Right? Were you yelling? I wasn't yelling. Okay, so where was I? Went to the midwife. They looked at this little one. She's perfect. And my abs were separated, so I'm going to pelvic floor PT. I think I said that. I haven't found one. I'm looking for one. And I'm still going to the chiropractor postpartum as well. I have that appointment tomorrow. The chiropractor, we usually go like about once a month, and we all go. So we stopped because of the pandemic. So Paul hasn't been to a chiropractor since he was like, I think he was about 10 months old when we stopped going. I don't know if he's going to let the doctor do anything, but we shall see. So we have that tomorrow. I just feel kind of more like myself. I have a lot of energy. Still no visitors. I'm still just kind of hiding out. We had talked kind of about having grandparents come, but there's kind of a big difference between having someone stop by for an hour where all of our family lives far away. So having grandparents is kind of like a all day, multiple day commitment, and I'm just not there yet. So we were talking about that yesterday. I don't know when yet, so I'm not ready. So that's what I basically told Matt. I'm still doing therapy. So I did a therapy session on Tuesday. That went really well. I was just telling her that I feel really good. But sometimes what happens with me, mental health wise, is I'll feel really good. And then I will stop seeing a therapist and something will happen. I'll crash and I'll be miserable for like a year before I go back. So we're going to keep going. I'm still weekly with the therapist just for a couple more weeks. And then we're going to assess and see, what do we want to do? Do we want to go to like every 2 or 3 weeks or once a month, kind of like a maintenance thing, and then more appointments if I need it. We're getting there. I do feel mental health wise really, really good. Like I said, just this kind of hiding out while postpartum has really helped me. I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row to do a video on postpartum baby 1 versus baby 2 because they were drastically different. But I think that's all that really happened. So on to the next week. Hey friends, so I am now 4 weeks postpartum. Things are going so well with this pregnancy, or postpartum from pregnancy. It's like unnerving. I'm waiting for things to start unraveling, but they haven't been. Week 4, I guess that's a month, or is it a month on the 6th because she was born the 6th. Things are going really well. I lost about a little over a pound from last week. I'm not doing anything to try to lose weight. I'm not even really super duper eating healthy. Definitely not doing physical activity yet, but just, you know, Mother Nature is kind of like calming down, if that makes sense at all. So I still have a belly. It's getting better. My skin is still a little sensitive on the right hand side. I don't know if I figured this out by the time I filmed last week's video, but I had had a scar from a skin cancer surgery on my right hand side by my belly button, oh gosh, 15 years ago. And it didn't bother me at all with my first pregnancy, but when my belly stretched for this pregnancy, it really bothered me for a period till I kept moisturizer on it, and that helped. So with this pregnancy, I think it's just that scar tissue shrinking is what's sensitive, because it's only on my right hand side where that scar is. So every time I take a shower, I put almond oil on my belly, mostly because the skin is so loose right now. It's just a personal thing. Like I can't spread lotion on it. It just gives me the willies. If you know what I'm talking about, leave me a comment below. But like the oil is like, you know, it's oil, so you can just kind of smear it on and go on your day. So I've been doing the oil. That's been helping some. Bleeding wise, I am down to spotting every once in a blue moon. I am down to wearing my incontinence liners. They're by Cora. I was wearing them when I was pregnant because I used to pee myself constantly. So I literally had just bought a huge box of bladder control panty liners like 3 or 4 days before I gave birth. So I had this huge box, so I might as well use them. They're essentially panty liners anyway. So I'm wearing those all throughout the day, changing them sporadically, especially if I see spotting. And then overnight I noticed that I wasn't spotting at all, so I stopped wearing liners at night, just my underwear. And this is probably way too much TMI, but I usually don't wear underwear to bed. I just wear pajama shorts or pajama pants. So I'm hoping that I get into that because it's just more comfortable for me. I just get really hot with all these layers on. So I'm hoping in the next few days that I will just drop the underwear and go to my pajama shorts or pajama pants because I'm not spotting that much, especially at night. Headaches wise, I think I only had 1 headache last week. So those have been dying back down. I've been getting really good sleep. Tilly's been a really good sleeper. My sleep, I'm not sleep deprived by any means. I'm trying to wean off caffeine a little bit. Once Tilly was born, I was like, coffee, 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 and I was having lots of coffee. So just for my anxiety, I tried to keep my caffeine levels down. So I'm trying to get back down there again. And the first 2 weeks after Tilly was born, I was just eating like snacks and chocolates and candies and all sorts of delicious stuff people were sending us. So now I'm back to like, you know, eating oatmeal and whole grains and vegetables and protein. I'm trying to, you know, get back to just eating healthy for my own regularity, if you know what I'm talking about. Speaking of if you don't know what I'm talking about. And number 2, so I stopped taking the stool softener. I don't remember when. I haven't taken it at all this past week. I really have no problems in that area. Doesn't seem to bother me anymore. I'm not using the peri bottle really at all. Every once in a blue moon I just might use it if I have like a lot of spotting or something. I pretty much have just went back to normal toilet paper as normal. I did notice though in week 3 when I'm sitting in certain positions, like if I have like my leg up or something, I feel something because I had that 1-degree tear. It doesn't hurt. I think, I was telling Matt, I think it's just like the healing, if that makes sense. Like if you've ever had like stitches and like after 2 or 3 weeks, the healing, it just starts, you're aware of it, if that makes any sense. I went to the library with Paul by myself, which was fun. So that was kind of like my first outing. I started driving this week. I don't think there was any restrictions. I forgot to ask the midwife about driving, but I felt like I could drive. Matt was with me, so I drove. Everything else seems to be pretty good. So far we've had no visitors. We've kind of been talking about, okay, what if we have visitors kind of starting after Easter, and that is going to be 40 days after postpartum, which follows that book that I've talked about, the first 40 days, kind of allowing yourself 40 days to just chillax and, you know, there's no written rules, whatever you want. So I had said my biggest anxiety with my first postpartum was the visitor situation. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do no visitors for 40 days. And nobody's been pushing, so that's been really nice. So I think we're going to start having family come visit after Easter. I think I have 2 Easters, not this weekend, but the next weekend. So coming up, having visitors coming over. So just clothes-wise really fast, I do have breastfeeding shirts, but the breastfeeding shirts I have are really boring. They're just like solid colors and they're like kind of loose fitting. So I just went back to wearing like my normal shirts. This is a tie-dye shirt my little sister made for me, and just like a cardigan. So I do have to lift them up, but I am wearing my pregnancy maternity leggings because I like the stomach panel. I like that to be like over my belly still. So I wear that, and I wear like maternity pajamas. I have 2 pairs, so I've been wearing those because I really like the tummy control, I guess. Nothing is really restricting. It's just barely there. I like that. So I've been wearing those. My regular socks fit. If I think I mentioned in my maternity videos that my feet were so swollen I was wearing mat socks, but I'm wearing my socks. I'm wearing my regular underwear pre-pregnancy. I'm able to wear my sneakers again. So I think I'm going to end this as month 1. And I hope this is something somebody finds interesting. If you do, leave me some comments below so I know. Give this video a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't thought about it already. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.